We're really excited that you found this video. It means that you're considering EXP as your next brokerage and you're being a really smart agent, doing your homework up front and learning as much as you can about it before you make that decision. Just so you know, it took us 3 long years before we decided if EXP was the right choice for us.
And of course, it took fully understanding the model and about how important sponsors are before we made that switch. And now that we've had the 2 best years in real estate ever, and we've helped change the lives of our team and everyone who has joined our organization. In this video, we're going to give you a quick backstory about ourselves and our transition into real estate and ultimately EXP so that you can help understand the model for yourself and see if it's the right fit for you as well.
My name's Ryan, and when I first got into the job market, I worked as a I worked my way up to a senior construction project manager and development manager, and I was working on the construction side of real estate. I got really, really tired of building everyone else's dreams and never being in control of my own life. And that's what made me really look and consider real estate carefully. Fast forward to where we are now. Dan and I met at our first brokerage, and we started being each other's accountability partners. A great friendship sort of grew out of that. We've been able to grow a big team as well, and we've produced $100 million years in real estate, so it's been very successful.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about real estate is that there are so many different backgrounds that come into real estate and become successful in it. I had no sales history before I got into real estate. I don't think Ryan did either. In fact, I was in the music industry for 20 years before I got into real estate. And similar to Ryan, and probably similar to yourself, we were working for somebody else and making them rich, and of course, building up their dreams, which was cool for a while, but not cool forever. And of course, I also had a true financial glass ceiling that I recognized I would never be able to break through working for somebody else. So that's one of the great things that drove me into real estate and has since proven true that you can get out of it what you want by hustling hard.
I completely agree. I didn't have the right last name, so I wasn't getting into the C-suites. My limits in terms of where I could grow, what I could build, who I could influence, the vision of my life, it wasn't going to happen working for someone else. And as I got into real estate, I realized about 2 to 3 years in that in order to make the kind of money and build the kind of life that we were hoping to do, we had to look beyond traditional brokerages as well.
So when we started, we both ended up at the same brokerage before even knowing each other. And what attracted us to it originally was that it was boutique. It had really cool energy. There was a younger sort of demographic, and it had cool marketing. And that's all I thought it took to be a success in real estate. And to be honest, when I first started there, I also paid for desk fees, meaning I bought a desk every month, or I rented a desk every month at the tune of $500 a month. And while the brokerage was great for us, I'm super happy we started there. Within 3 months, I realized that paying for desk fees, even then, made no sense. Because of course, what happened is all people did in the office was gossip and really just kind of waste my time, where I like to be heads down and get stuff done. And I was way more productive in my car, at home, on the road, whatever it was. So regardless, it was a cool brokerage to start with, and I felt like we grew out of it, to be honest. And what happens when you're a higher producer, all brokerages are going to pay attention to you. And so all the phone calls were coming in every week. Hey, come to so-and-so, come to Remax, come to KW, come to whatever. And, we'd listen to them, we'd hear them out. But at the end of the day, all these other brokerages were essentially just a different color of the same thing, right? The deal fees were a bit different. The splits were different. The logo was different, but there was nothing new or compelling enough to go, okay, why would we actually switch? Now, that was true up until a new brokerage here in Vancouver actually popped up. And what was compelling about that one was that they actually offered us a share in the company, as well as some revenue share by bringing in other agents. You see, they were brand new, they were boutique, and they had a pretty good image as well. And we're like, okay, well, listen, we've got a brokerage right now where we can only make money buying and selling homes. 95% of brokerages are built that way. And this one said, okay, well, guess what? We're actually going to operate a bit as a pre-sale venue as well, showcasing developers' projects. And what that meant is that they were going to be charging rent for all the show suites and whatnot, and they would share that revenue, profit share, amongst the owners in the company, which were us. We were going to get shares in the company. And then when we brought in other agents to the company, we'd actually get a little percentage of their deals as well. mind blown. We're like, okay, wait a minute. We're adding 2-3 different revenue streams to our business because we all have families and we all want to make passive income. So this made a lot of sense to us. We brought it back to our previous brokerage and said, hey guys, we're getting all these new opportunities that actually sound worthwhile and worth exploring. Can you meet or beat this? Because we're loyalists, but we're opportunists as well. And we want what's best for us ultimately. And at the time, the brokerage said, sorry guys, we're not doing a thing to change for you guys. So we said, okay, you're helping us make a decision. And then we went over to this other boutique brokerage and experienced, a pretty unique experience, if you will.
Yeah, our time at that boutique brokerage, while we were promised the world, and it looked like we were actually starting to build momentum into that. We had great developers that were working with us, only to then find out that they had planned to sell the brokerage. I guess they may be a victim of their own success or whatever it may be. However, again, a deal was made for us really without us there. So continued to push us along on our journey. With that being said, and in that time frame, we actually decided that in order to scale properly, we wanted to get coached. We were looking for coaching solutions. We were looking to get mentored. We were looking to go, we didn't need that new agent mentorship anymore. We needed to scale from 50 to 100 million. And how were we going to do that? And so that's when we ended up meeting our business coach at the time, who never ever pushed EXP on us, although despite being there. And during this process where we were getting bought out, he helped us look at the model and really look at the model. And this is where we started to really realize that this was essentially where we had been going. However, EXP was on steroids and on a global scale, which was really exciting because as a realtor, at least initially, all you really know is buying and selling homes. You start realizing as you do more volume that your business has value to the brokerage, at which point the brokerage, if you do enough business or you scale and you influence enough people, there's other ways of making money. And that's where EXP started to get really, really exciting.
So our coach, Jason Samard, basically said, look, you guys are paying us thousands of dollars every month right now for coaching. If you join our organization within EXP, we'll actually waive all of those coaching fees and give you the same level of service. And we're like, okay, why? It's because EXP has created this ingenious, system. Let's call it financial alignment, where you actually share in the revenue from the other agents within your organization. And it's not their money, it's the money that they give to the brokerage from the split. And so if we were to join underneath our coach, he would still benefit financially just by us transacting, which we do anyway at any other brokerage. So for us, we ran the numbers, we looked at EXP's model in depth with Jason and basically understood then that, hey, this made a lot of sense to our bottom line, if nothing else. Mm-hmm. I think that was a big part of the initial decision was that, look, based on the numbers of transactions that we do, we're going to, at a minimum, not lose or make more money on the commission fees, but we suddenly have all this free coaching, which made a lot of sense to the bottom line. So we made the decision then and there.
It's also what we really wanted. We were really looking for coaching. Ultimately, we were looking to grow our business. It wasn't just all of a sudden these extra buckets of income became a real bonus, but it wasn't the focus of what we were trying to do. What we were trying to do was become the best client-centric real estate team in Vancouver and excel in that capacity. And as we started to build a team and as we started to bring team members onto our group, we started to realize that we could affect and influence and help more people, both by utilizing the group that has brought us in and our upline, who is strong real estate coaches and strong business coaches, all of whom dedicate their time to our success because of our financial alignment. The better we do, the better they do. And so is the model in terms of everyone else that we intend to help beneath us.
Yeah, and so we came into EXP as 4-year agents and found it very beneficial at that point because as high producers, the money makes a lot of sense because we're icon agents, and we'll get into that in a sec. But you might be asking, maybe as a newer agent or as a veteran, is it right for you? Well, we've got 5 people on our team outside of us, and the very cool thing about that is that they're all at different stages. One came to us as a brand new agent that we mentored, and another one all the way through came to us after 6-7 years in the business as a pretty high performer. Well, EXP is perfect for all 3 stages because as a newbie, they have really, really low overhead. Like their monthly costs are next to nothing, especially compared to other brokerages, and you don't start paying any of your commission split until you actually do a deal. So as a new agent, if you can minimize your overhead until you do that deal, let's call it 4 to 6 months, you're really gonna have a leg up on people that are maybe paying $1,000 a month, which to me makes no sense whatsoever at any stage of your career. And then, of course, for people in, let's say, the middle of their career, year 3 to 6 kind of thing, again, the coaching there is incredible. And of course, you're only paying that same monthly overhead. And then as high producers like ourselves, well, guess what? You basically can earn your entire commission split back in the form of stock, and you ultimately end up getting paid to be with that brokerage as early as year 1, like we did. So all 3, or basically at any stage of your career, EXP makes sense. Just from a brokerage standpoint financially, but then of course we'll get into the organization and the people that you surround yourself with where things get really exciting.
And not only is it really good for agents of different skill sets and time in the business, it's also really good for agents in any particular market. Downward market, upward market, it works well. For example, in a downward market, when you're not transacting very much, but you have a larger organization that you've helped work and mentor, and they produce deals, you will passively earn income during those down months or those dry months. If the market swings down, you don't have to worry so much. You don't go into a panic mode. You still have income coming in. Plus, you have the option of exercising stocks and many other ways of making money. On the flip side, when things are really, really hot and things are going really well, you have a ton of support to get those deals done. You have, you're making 3 to 5 different versions of income, and it really starts to kick ass in that particular marketplace.
When it comes to the training that I was mentioning earlier, EXP alone has over 80 hours of live training every single week. And the best part about it too is that the training is performed by icon agents. That means you're learning from agents that are currently in today's market selling within the top 5 to 10% globally. Okay, it's not like some of these brokerages where they have a managing broker that'll teach you how to sell a home, but he hasn't even sold a home in 20 years. So you might not be learning from the most current information available on how to sell and buy homes in today's marketplace. So that is super, super beneficial and something that I was really impressed with. 2, keep in mind, EXP is the fastest growing brokerage in history. It's only 13 years old and it is already the 3rd largest by agent count in the world. EXP is currently in 26 countries and has a plan to be in 50 countries within the next 5 years. So you joining EXP, you are part of something that is growing exponentially fast and has a hugely successful history behind it. Now, as Ryan touched on earlier, there are multiple ways to earn income with EXP, and this is the real differentiator. Because historically, we're talking in the entire history of real estate, you either trade your time to buy or sell homes, and that's it. And hopefully you're smart enough to have done a bunch of deals and saved a bunch of money, maybe made some investments along the way so that you have the option to step out of work when you need to, or let's say a family member gets sick, or you just need some time off, whatever it is. If you don't have something that can replace your hourly efforts and work, well, then you're just basically stuck on a golden hamster wheel and it's very hard to get off. And we've seen a lot of agents in their later years still having to run that hamster wheel because at the end of the day, the second you get off, the money stops coming in. And this is where EXP gets super exciting.
Yeah, so let's talk about those buckets of income because they matter. First of all, the first bucket of income that you can get, and the one you will probably get most often, is the stock award. So the moment you join the company, you get gifted stock. You do your first deal, you get gifted stock. Where it gets really exciting is if you are an icon status agent, like Dan mentioned earlier, and you hit your numbers, you can make your entire desk fee back in stock awards. Now that gets vested for a period of time, but my goodness, with a company growing at the rate it's growing, that stock is bound to appreciate. Furthermore, we get into revenue share. Revenue share, like we touched on earlier, where we all share in each other's gross revenue. Different from profit. I must say. Some companies look at profit sharing. This is not one of them. This is top line revenue, right? So when whatever the company produces in revenue, you get a portion of it. Now, only 87% of, only 13% of agents across EXP really focus on downline attraction, which creates that revenue share. However, there is more than enough room for you to grow that part of your business. Even if it's only 5 to 10 to 15 agents, you're looking at somewhere between $5,000 and $20,000 a year in additional income that will offset any costs that your business may have during that time.
And then the third bonus, or the fifth bucket, if you will, is of course dividend payments on your stocks. EXP is a profitable public company and they do pay dividends every quarter. So based on how many stock that you have, or how many stock shares that you have rather, they're going to be paying you dividends on top of that. And actually there's another one. There's almost a sixth that's a bonus. You have the ability every single commission check to take 5% of that check and buy their stock at a 10% discount. 10%. It's literally free money. So it's a no-brainer, and we have all bought into that program. Highly suggest that anybody who joins does that. So that's the 5 buckets. You buy real estate, you sell real estate, but then the differentiators are you get stock for doing the same business you do anyways, you get dividend payments on that stock, and you have the option to participate in the revenue share passive income model. Again, these have been literally life-changing financial aspects for a lot of people, ourselves included. And it's the reason that we're here and happy to be here and continue to basically push the model, because we've seen it change our team's lives.
I think if you're going to make the effort, if you've come this far and you've watched enough videos, considering the switch has been monumental shift in my life. I've been able to spend more time with my kids. I've been able to live in a house that I never thought I'd be able to buy. It's been an incredible change. And while the first 13 years put EXP on the map in terms of agent count and getting on the NASDAQ, it'll really be the next 13 years where a lot of the money is made and where that global scale, that global attraction is really going to take place.
So as Ryan had mentioned earlier, it actually took us 3 years about hearing about EXP until we decided to join. And the main reason that is because the person originally pitching it to us, we didn't quite align with them. For whatever the reasons are, it just didn't fit right. It didn't feel right. When our coach got into telling us more about EXP, we had already formed a really strong relationship with him and of course a big trust bond, and really appreciated his team of 16 agents and the successes he's had and the people that he's helped. So that felt right. And here's something that's vitally important about joining EXP. When you do join, you have to pick a sponsor. And the sponsor is the person who, like we're doing, teaches you about the brokerage and gives you the benefits of what's called the upline. Both myself, Ryan, and the people above us that brought us into EXP. You see, the way the revenue share works, there's 7 tiers of revenue because money is finite and the revenue share model goes from 7 layers deep. But what's so important is knowing every one of the 7 people that brings you essentially into EXP, because they all have a financial alignment with you and they all want you to be a success out of the goodness of their heart as well. And that's a big part of why we literally doubled our business in the first year with EXP, because we suddenly have this mega support team right above us. And so there are horror stories of people that are pitched EXP and they join and they get zero benefit from the people above them because they either didn't understand that aspect of it, or maybe they were slightly misled. I don't know. I can't talk to that. But what I can talk to is letting you know that it is so important to understand what your sponsor offers and then the 6 people above them. Because of course, joining with us, you would get things like coaching from both of us. We're top 3% agents. We've sold over $250 million in real estate. We know how to build a team. Well, guess what? The person above us, he's a YouTube coach and he's helped us build our YouTube channel to a point where we're now getting inbound leads from it. Who's above him? A real estate coach that sold 132 homes in his very first year. These are the types of people that you want to align with to guarantee your success, either as a day 1 agent or a day 1,000 agent, because everybody within the upline, if you join with us, has something extremely valuable to share that will improve your business and make you a high net worth successful agent.
And just to add to that, our coach in our upline, that's all he does. He doesn't transact real estate. So when you're talking about dealing with someone who does something full-time, not part-time, not a bit of the time, You've got dedicated coaches. Our YouTube coach, that's all he does. He doesn't sell real estate anymore. He does YouTube coaching for realtors. So what we are talking about are dedicated professionals. The best companies in the world have great models, but the best companies have the greatest people. And so when you are looking at joining a brokerage, you have to look to the people and the value you get from them.
That's just it. And I'd say one of the biggest perks we've definitely seen is, unlike other brokerages that literally pit agents against each other for these like basically glorified paperweights, which they call trophies, at EXP, everybody is out for everybody's success. It's like a 180-degree mindset shift because, of course, we're all financially aligned, and the more successful the brokerage is, the more high the stock goes. Pardon my English, but you get the idea. I'm getting all excited here. But it's truly magnificent because there are people outside of our, let's say, 7-person upline that are more than willing to take days, hours, weeks out of their time to help us improve our business and our attraction abilities because it's so valuable to the business as a whole, which ultimately benefits them too. So by joining EXP, you're literally surrounded by people that all want you to succeed. It is night and day from any other brokerage that we've have experienced. And I can't hype them up enough. It's been amazing.
If I've been in, we've both been in the same brokerage our entire careers, but what I will say is in your traditional style brokerage, when you go and talk to a performing agent, if you can even talk to them, if you can even get a hold of them, if they're even at their office, which they never are for reasons we talked about, getting those people is very difficult to do. And if you do, they're not going to teach you everything they know because you're their direct line of competition. You're not financially aligned. This is where the whole model flips that on its head, where if I'm a success and the person who brought me in financially benefits from that, what are the odds of me learning the best secrets, all of the secrets, the playbooks that has made that person successful? So it creates a culture of reciprocity, not a culture of internal competition where we're trying to squash people around us.
Yeah, super well said. And I think as a great way to wrap this up, a good way to look at this too is that everything that we just mentioned about with the upline and all the different layers of basically success coaches, those all come at no extra cost. Okay, if you were to be with another brokerage and get a YouTube coach and get a business coach and get a real estate coach, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, easy, we're talking about. And yet by joining EXP, because of the brilliance of the financial alignment model, you literally get everyone in the upline, myself and Ryan included, for free. Mm-hmm. And that has been obviously a game changer for us and everyone that we've brought into the organization. So we'd love to talk to you more about this. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let's talk EXP.